We need to be careful. I think we're preaching to the choir a little bit here. There are a lot of people in Hanover County that don't care about what we're talking about. I think that's, you talked about the conflicts and the tension. And that's okay. A lot of people are new implants from somewhere else. They're retirement communities. They're very happy with the way things are. So we have to recognize that in whatever plans that we come up with, whatever solutions we develop. But I think that everybody in Hanover County at some point in time would appreciate a better downtown. I think they would appreciate a more cultural opportunities. I think they would appreciate more entertainment maybe. But that is a conflict, because if you go to Riceville Beach, they have a different agenda. They're actually trying to do a little bit what we're talking about here in Riceville Beach. Pleasure Island, they are an island. If they can close the bridge, sometimes they probably will. So we have different segments of the county that have different viewpoints. And I agree with Chris, if the traffic is, if the congestion is where you want to be, that's good. It's where you want to go. It's not.
I guess it gets back to the nested Venn diagram again. If you look at the region and you do what's good for the region, what's good for the, say, the metropolitan area of the region, and then what's good for the smaller city, to be able to relate that same diagram sort of in the economic spheres, how they relate to each other. Yeah, Tracy, particularly comment on, I know you got something right now, but also make sure that you talk about what conflicts there are trying to conserve. Yeah, okay.
What I speak about is that, you know, I've lived in a number of cities, a number of places, a number of downtowns, and to me what separates sort of a great city from a good city or not so good city is that there's a balance between natural resources, cultural resources, economic development, all those things. And I think one of the conflicts is that there is a lack of trust between the environmentalists, if you will, and the industrial folks, economic developers.
That's why I'm in the middle.
I certainly.
Yeah, this placement was all strategic.
But I mean, I'm the first to admit, and I'll accept responsibility. There's been a lack of much needed discourse, and I think the question is, are those things mutually exclusive? And I think for a long time, it is assumed that if you're going to do all those things that David's talking about, that the inevitable result is that the environment will suffer. And I think that's absolutely not true, and not the way that we should move it forward. But what I do think happens is folks that are educated in land use planning, engineering, design, unless they take specific classes in low impact development, what we call conservation design, it's just not part of the current thinking that you don't have to sacrifice clean water or trees or native vegetation while you're ensuring all those other things. But I've never sat down and met with these folks, and that is as much my fault as anybody else's. But I think in terms of conflict, it is a matter, it boils down to a matter of trust, and a matter of saying, yeah, but that nesting with, you know, my boss always says, which annoys me to no end, the devil's in the details. Everybody's environmentalist, if you ask them. But when it gets right down to it, what are you going to do about it to make sure that we keep clean water and natural resources, which add, to me, tremendous value to our community? And we should be talking a lot more than we're talking.
We're going to really talk about recruits looking at the overall community and not just whether there's 300 linear feet of sewer line and what capacity is the size of the pipe. I know I go kayaking on Town Creek, in County Park down on 133, and part of the reason I enjoy living here is because I can go downtown and I'm from Charlotte, but 498 people live in Hanover. We didn't tip 500 until I was halfway through college. And I could ride down the middle of the street and get groceries from my mother. But at 6 years old, I could ride down independently and go to the store. So, I mean, my kids never been able to do that in Wilmington. But there are a lot of community assets throughout the whole region. The downtown is one. That Town Creek is another. I mean, That's a wonderful place now. You got the park down there to put in and take a 3 or 4 hour paddle. And there are people who are coming from very intense urban environments who just don't have the luxury of being able to do that. And 30 minutes later, come down and have a nice meal and walk downtown and enjoy the riverfront. That's really a pretty unique segue available to people who live in this area. So it's definitely part of the same, part and parcel of the same people. We got anything to add on the conflicts?
Well, I did want to talk about what Dave talked about, this urban infill and urban redevelopment, and what Tracy talked about. As an environmental engineer, I see urban infill and brownfield redevelopment as the most environmentally sustainable thing we can do. And so from an environmental point of view, that's something that we should all embrace. Because not only does it use existing infrastructure without taking up green space and creating more transportation costs and a lot of other infrastructure challenges, but it adds to our social environment. It adds to our walkability. It adds to all the other things that are quality of life. So I agree with you on that, David. If that was the one thing that we could agree and focus on, I would support it.
It's not that hard, but it is that hard, and that's where I think, if I can interject a little bit, I mean, it is privately very expensive to develop downtown, but publicly there's a huge benefit. We build in Leland and Brunswick Forest, and publicly it is, or privately it's very inexpensive for me to build up there, but publicly, if you look at how much roads and school systems or whatever's needed, publicly it's very expensive. So, but you don't feel it as much, and it's obviously with any business endeavor, the shortest path between 2 points is not a straight line. It's the easiest path. I mean, that's why the Mississippi River runs the way it does. And I think when after Norquist was wrapping up last week, and I was thinking about some stuff, and I started thinking about it. If I was the planner, if I was Kate Grayfield or Chris O'Keefe, if I was a long-range planner, and I wanted to encourage redevelopment downtown, I mean, if I got fired today, and I showed up tomorrow, and I was the new planner, my job and my charge was, you're fired, Spetrino, you're not a builder developer anymore, you're not an info guy, but your new job is you're the guy in charge of getting other people to build and develop downtown. And that's how I showed up on the first day. I had to think, what would I do? And I immediately started thinking, I mean, obviously I talk to myself a lot, I think about a lot of things. But I started thinking about who would I go recruit? Who would I go, who would I have lunch with every day for 5 weeks and find and say, I need you downtown, and what are we going to do to make it happen downtown, and you're going to come downtown. And I started thinking about it, and this was something that the mayor said to me Friday night, seems like, there's not really a lot of guys do anything anymore. I mean, he's kind of right. I mean, half the guys I know are bankrupt. The other half of the guys I know are packed up their stuff and left. And the other half of the guys I know are like, I'm not doing this anymore. I'm sure that they'll come back, but it's not like there's a whole deep set of people who are going, man, get me in there, coach. I want to do some urban infill development. I mean, they're not. And I'm only doing it because I really don't know how to do a whole lot of anything else really well. And so I started thinking about who those people are, and the people who aren't doing anything that I mean, I'm not calling up Gene Barrett or Terry Espy or Todd Taconis and going, hey, do some more stuff downtown. I'm finding the people that built these really cool, innovative buildings recently by the YMCA. Has anyone seen off 29th Street? There's these really neat buildings, and I mean, I don't know what they cost, I don't know who lives there, I don't know what the demographics are. It's kind of an oddball little location, but I'm like, man, I gotta get that guy downtown. Who did it? Who did it? Okay, hey, you come with me. Because my thinking is, that's the guy. If I'm the boss man of getting infill help downtown, I'm figuring out how to make it so that everybody wants to be there, and then I'm getting the smartest guys and saying, look, you're obviously not afraid of innovation. I mean, builders, by their nature, abhor. They don't want anything to do with innovation. They are not, builders don't go, I think I'll reinvent the wheel. They do whatever somebody else and then they put more brass on it, or they put more pieces of crown molding on it. They don't do anything innovative. And I think if infill, which is not really that innovative, but it is unusual, I think any opportunity you can find those people who are willing to try that, you get them here, and then you say yes to them on whatever they ask. Because they've already done something. You've already seen a track record. You trust them. You trust them until they give you a reason not to. And you get the hell out of their way. But when they come to you and they go, that guy over there said no to me, that guy, he's fired. Go do whatever you want. I mean, that is the attitude that I would love to see downtown. And I'm not saying you give it to the guy who's got the most dough, or the biggest mouth, or contributes to the most politicians. You give it to the guy who's already doing stuff and trying things and recognize that there's some level of failure there. But you and I, we have lunch tomorrow. I mean, clear your calendar. I'm actually having lunch with your brother, so tell him I'm not coming. I'm having lunch with that guy. Because that's the guy I want to say is, look, I got something for you, and I can help this make this work, and I'll partner with you.
Remember the gals that want to do urban infill as well.
Guy is a what's it called in the legal terms? It's a
Pejorative.
Yeah, right. So I'm glad to have anybody, but I think that we made a bunch of money in 2005 downtown. Not because I'm really that smart, but because I just happened to have my timing right, and I had enough product in the market. And I thought that my big mouth would allow me, hey, so if that guy's making money, let's go do more what he's doing. Not a whole lot of people showed up to do something. Now, a lot of people came in and bought land and were very speculative, but nobody actually showed up with their hammers and their nails and did projects. And that's what kind of scares me, because if you want to see whether or not you're kind of a leader in something, you got to kind of look behind you to see what's following you. And I think what really made me nervous in 07, 08, as we started to see the economy slow, there were a whole lot of projects. There were very, very ambitious projects, but there were no 1, 2, there's no 2 to 4 or even 12-unit projects on the books downtown. It was either the View or what they were going to build the Rhinoceros Club site. I mean, there were these big, huge, there were these 300 units at the Gateway project. 300 units doesn't make any sense whatsoever downtown. But an 8-unit project, anywhere downtown should kill it, should do really, really well.